What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Keeping It Real podcast. I'm your host, James, joined by one of my co-co. See, I'm telling you, man, I'm all congested. Joined by one of my co-hosts, Reese. And earlier this week, we went to see Ty West's brand new slasher, X. X follows a group of adult film stars and a crew as they set out to make a movie in rural Texas on a farm owned by an elderly couple. And when the couple catches their guests in the act, making their movie, things take a turn for the horrific. That's the best synopsis I can give of this movie without spoilers. So again, without spoilers, Reese, what did you think about X?
I really enjoyed it. I think A24 or A24, I don't know what they go by.
A24.
They're very good at what they do. Like, they know they make kind of strange films, but they lean into it, and I don't think I've seen anything by them yet that I haven't liked. I really I think the acting was pretty good. I think the tone of it was really good. I think the pacing and the speed of the film, I feel like there's a good balance between the first and the second half. I feel like it kicked off exactly when it needed to.
Mm-hmm.
And I think just it was interesting. It was the characters were interesting. Story was interesting, and the kind of visuals as well. It was very interesting to watch.
Yeah, it was. Great looking movie. Yeah, you mentioned the pacing, which is in my notes here. Just very well paced. I mean, it is in very sort of two distinct parts, isn't it? It's it's the build up, and then it's once it kicks off, it really just it's sort of like a race to the end. They don't really pull any punches.
It ramps up quick.
Yeah. And both parts I loved equally as much, because sometimes in horror movies the setup and the build up just isn't as interesting. But honestly, if this was just sort of a comedy about this group of people making a porno in a farmhouse, I was like,
I don't think they fell into the trap of what most modern horror films do. I guess it's because it is set in the past. But like my biggest issue with horror films now is they make all the lead characters look really unlikable and just insufferable. Like they're always they're always Gen Xers were the ones below us. Gen Zers.
I think I'm a Gen Z, Anna. No, we're always. I don't know.
No, we're like the millennials / Gen Z.
We're right in that.
They're always like
spot.
that, and they're always like, they just make them these really insufferable stereotypes.
Insufferable. That's
insufferable. Yeah.
Well, because they don't actually make them characters. They are, are stereotypes usually, because they're very thinly written, because they're there just.
And in this, they're flawed and they're not like great people, but their reasoning's pretty sound. Like that bit where they have that conversation before they sing Fleetwood Mac. I think it's really interesting. They have a really interesting conversation like that, and I liked that they were just these people who were like, we like to have sex.
I thought that was a great scene, because it's sort of there's a big thing in this movie. It's it's how different generations view sex, and much of the older generation sort of vilifies it because of how they were raised, and there's sort of this sanctity around sex, whether it's to do with religion or whatever. But they really break it down, and they're like, you can have sex without love, but you can also have sex with love, and both are fine. Both are very valid. And, we're providing entertainment for people, which, as much as people might not want to admit it or talk about it, everybody watches porn, and it's
every single person.
Everybody watches porn, and
everyone.
And the majority of people, the Queen, especially the Queen. I'm gonna get sniped through the window now for besmirching our besmirching our monarch. And I bet the majority of people who do consume that material look down on the performers, and I thought it was good to sort of have this have this insight into and the psychology behind what they're doing. And
essentially,
it's business. Yeah, they're acting. It's, you know.
Yeah, that's what they were. They wanted to be actors.
Yeah.
Or they wanted a life that was better than the one they had. And they were like, well, Hollywood's not working out.
This is how we're going to do it. We're going to make it for ourselves.
It's a perfectly viable option. Let's do that.
Exactly, yeah.
That's their version of a podcast.
Exactly. We thought about doing porn, didn't we, Reese? But we thought, you know what?
We thought maybe a podcast.
Let's leave that to the professionals. We're much better talking about the porn. Yeah. You talked about the performances. So we got a really good cast here. We got Jenna Ortega, who recently we saw in Scream. Brittany Snow from Pitch Perfect. Mia Goth, who's been, you know, doing weird horror movies for a while now. I recognized her most prominently from, remember, did you ever watch A Cure for Wellness?
Yeah, I didn't realize she was in that until I Googled her the other day. And yeah.
Underrated movie. I really enjoyed it. Way too fucking long, but I actually enjoyed that movie. And I thought the biggest surprise for me was Kid Cudi, Scott Mescudi. I thought he was really great.
I mean, there's one bit I didn't like, but we'll get to that. It's not really a spoiler, but it's the bit where...
Okay, go on.
Yeah, well, okay, there's one bit in it where he is supposed to be playing guitar. And I fully believe that Kid Cudi can play guitar. I fully believe
Kid Cudi can do anything he wants, yeah.
But there was no effort made in this film to make it look like he was playing that guitar. His hands, you don't see his hands, but you see the back of his hand on the guitar, and it doesn't move. It doesn't even flinch. And I'm like, he could have at least tried. He could have like looked at the chords and gone, yeah, I could do that.
Now, because as someone who shouldn't be let anywhere near a musical instrument, I didn't notice that. But that was, I think, maybe the first thing you said when we came out of it.
Yeah, I was like, you want to play that guitar? It's a star off.
I'm not buying this. Well, that was our quick spoiler-free thoughts. Let's just dive into spoilers now. So yeah, they get to this rural farmhouse in Texas, run by these two. I mean, how else to put it? Creepy old people. How else? Yeah. I mean, that is very much how they are made, portrayed. And when they are, so they sort of go into this side, bunker house or bunkhouse, whatever.
Like a really shitty Airbnb.
I would not stay there, no matter how cheap it was. Yeah, and so when it's the arrival of these young, spry, vivacious actors and crew turn up. It sort of triggers this like rageful envy.
But I feel that. But then they've also, you find out half of the film they've also done it before, because there's that man in the basement.
Yeah. So are they they're advertising this place just to bring people here to fuck them up?
So that the older woman could get her end away. That's all I can say. Like, it is, like, she just really wants sex. He doesn't want to. So she starts murdering people.
Well, I'm going to kill people until you fuck me. That's basically what we got from this.
If you describe the plot of this film to me, I'd be like, I'm not interested. But I feel like you've got to see it.
No, as soon as I heard the plot, I was like, yes, that sounds incredible.
I will say, I always knew what the film's about. I didn't think we'd see quite so much of the porn being made.
Yeah, I mean,
those scenes are very long.
Yeah, all the better for it, I'd say. It's very horny and very gory. That's what I've been telling people.
She'll be very confused by the end of the film.
Oh, I went home. I was like, I don't know what to do. Am I scared or turned on? Speaking of the gore as well, I mean, this is quite
it's a gory film.
Yeah, fucking hell.
Like, it's gory, but I feel like it's not overly gory. Like, I feel like there's films. It's not like
not
Texas
sore. It's
Massacre.
Not gratuitous.
Yeah, it's like necessary-ish, I guess, to build the kind of like,
I mean, I'd say it's very situation. Yeah, it's very realistic gore. the things that happen in this movie would probably, you know, end up the way they do. But it's not like, you know, where some of the later Saw movies went, where it's, buckets and buckets. It's no, but I think that works better because usually in gore in movies doesn't really bother me all that much. There's been a couple of films where I've had to look away, and there was a couple of moments in this where I was like, oh no. Specifically, there is a bit where he stands on a nail, which got all three of us. We watched this with our friend
I don't care how many films they do that in. That will always make me squirm.
It's such a sensitive part of your body.
And then, like, and what I liked about this film as well is there wasn't really, and I really like when films do this, there wasn't really jump scares.
No.
Like, there were a few bits that could have made you jump, like the bit where he fucking shatters her hand with the back of his shotgun.
Mm-hmm.
But I like horror films that don't rely on jump scares. I get really bored of jump scares because I feel like the formula's overdone. Like, you can always tell it's the classic thing. They did it in Scream pretty well as well. You know, the old, he opens a door and he closes it and there's like nothing behind it.
Well, yeah, I think Scream very much like sort of played into what you're expecting to happen.
And I think this did it as well, because that bit where the guy's looking through the holes in the barn, I think they build it up really well, and then the payoff where he gets jabbed in the eye. The way it's done is really clever as well, with the light switch being turned on.
Yeah,
but like, it kind of makes you jump a bit, but it's not like a big like.
I think it's one of those like. I think as soon as he looks through those holes in the,
he's done
in the shed, something is going to come through them, and it's just that build-up of tension, and when it finally happens, it's sort of just like, oh okay, God, like finally. Even, you know, as horrific as it was. I was going to talk about something else. Setting up, like, you know, playing with tropes and stuff. This is my favorite type of slasher movie, where it's playful, it's done with a bit of a wink and a nod, and it recognizes what you expect to happen in horror movies. You know, we've very much got like the final girl trope here. We've got, you know, how in a lot of 80s horror movies, sex was, again, to vilify the protagonist. If you have sex, I mean, that's one of the rules in Scream. If you have sex, you're dead. And of course, a group of porn actors.
It did feel it felt like an 80s slasher in a good way. I think, like I said, I think sometimes when you have old people as the villains, it kind of can cross over into being comedic. Like,
well, because we talked about The Visit, didn't we?
The Visit.
After we came out of this.
That's just a pretty bad film. But
I'd argue otherwise. But
but I think there were bits of this that were funny. Like, but the actual old people themselves were very menacing. Like, the fact that this old woman didn't really say much. She just kind of would float around and then try and sleep with you, and if you didn't, stab you in the throat a couple of times.
So I think we both sort of realized halfway through that the old woman was also played by Mia Goth, who plays our lead here, Max. And I thought that was great, just for, you know, sort of thematically where this story was going. Of this old woman is sort of, she's seeing her younger self in Max, and she's jealous and rageful that she's lost that part of herself. And, you know, thematically, this movie's all about aging and beauty and how important, you know, sex can be. And was it you who said, like, well, you know, you just go a bit mad if you've not had any in a bit.
As soon as they had sex, the old people, she was like, it's fine now. I don't need that girl. And we've got each other again. And then the man died of the quickest heart attack I've ever seen in my life. And
again, all the deaths and the murders, I think, were just perfectly set up.
Yeah. I really liked the first one where she's like stabbing him, and then like it turns just red from all the blood.
The blood on the headlights, yeah.
Yeah, that looked really good.
And then she sort of does this sort of like transcendent dance where this murder has,
like she does. I think her murder gets her off.
Well, yeah, exactly. I think it's
one bit.
Either one. Either have sex with me or I'm going to kill you. Either way, I'm going to feel great at the end. And yeah, I think that was the most interesting sort of play with tone that they had in this movie, where I was like, what the fuck is going on? This is really bordering into fucked up.
Yeah. Part of me thought the old man was going to be like, not good, but like neutral. I thought she was going to be the one who goes a bit mad, and he was going to be like, because when he's like, oh, my wife, I'm looking for her, but then that whole bit with Kid Cudi where he's like, enticing my wife, and then fucking blows a hole in Kid Cudi's chest.
Enticing my wife. We get one at, Brittany Snow gets eaten by the gator, which I thought Kid Cudi was going to get eaten by the gator. But again, they're playing with your expectations of he's walking around in that water, in that swamp. Is something going to get him? No, it's the old man just shot him in the chest.
Jenna Ortega had one of my favorite deaths with a classic, like you think you've gotten away, and then you just get fucking blown away by someone. But that usually I can always picture that. That usually happens. Someone run away and they step on like a mine, and then they just go up.
That was sort of the same thing, wasn't it? Yeah.
That was well. As soon as you're outside the door, you see a rag doll.
Shotgun just took her off her feet. Yeah, that was funny.
I really liked the transitions in this film as well, between scenes.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like we don't get like cool transitions in films anymore.
I love a cool transition.
Like I like flicking back and forth and like the parallels of things going on when she's drinking tea with the lemonade with the old woman, and they're drinking lemonade in the porn film, and it's just like so much, like just little touches like that. I was like, that makes this film kind of very original.
And it was like unsettling at times as well, wasn't it? Where there is this porn going on, and then
and they were jumping back and forth to the preacher making a speech, and then we find out that
the preacher is Max's father. Yeah. So it looks like Max sort of had got pushed away from her home because of her father's views on sex, and obviously what line of work she was going into. Yeah, I just think a horror movie with substance behind it is always appreciated.
Yeah,
and we can look at those exactly, and a lot of them don't have this sort of care and detail put into them.
No.
So
Chainsaw Massacre. I'm looking at you.
Oh, I didn't even bother watching the most recent one.
God, what a terrible film!
You asked me, you're like, do you want to talk about that? I was like, nope.
There's one bit in that film, and this is what I'm talking about making characters look really insufferable. Leatherface gets on a bus full of like millennials and all that stuff, because basically they want to like gentrify this town and like, take it over.
Yeah.
And their instant reaction is to get their phones out.
You're cancelled,
start recording him, and he just looks at me and goes, "You do anything, you're cancelled." And I was like, I want to die. I want all these people to die, and then I want to die. This is what people think we're like. And it sucks.
Right. Anything more to say on X before we give it our final ratings?
Is there anything else? Music was great.
Yeah, really good music.
I loved them being murdered to Don't Fear the Reaper.
Yeah.
Great bit of music. And the kind of like ethereal kind of choir we had underneath as well. I think A24 did that really well, I think. But yeah, that's it, I think.
Then what do you want to give it out of 5?
I feel like I haven't said anything bad about this film. So I think I'm going to give it a 5. I haven't said anything bad about it, I don't think.
Okay, nice. So we got 5, and I'm going to give it a 4.5. I thought this was really great. Had such a fun time. Horror is one of my favorite genres when when you do it like this, but especially slasher, where you can just have a bit of fun with it. Really good stuff. Right, guys, that is it for our review of X. If you're listening on YouTube, then let us know down below in the comments what you thought of the movie. Also, like and subscribe. If you're listening on another streaming platform, then rate, like, follow, all that good stuff. Really helps us out. Until next time, keep it real.